Hello, everyone. My name is Julianne Meyer. I am the host of Own Your Wellness, and I'm excited to be here today, and I'm not on mute. I got to tell you, sometimes there's a lot of technical difficulties right before we go live, and today was no exception. Oh my goodness. And since I don't have a guest with me today, I don't know how long it would have taken me to notice that for some reason my mic was on mute, but figured it out. So we're all good. Anyway, this is still kind of new and kind of fun. Like I said, just sharing my knowledge instead for once. And I'm really enjoying having this opportunity to do this. That being said, today, I'm hoping it won't be too classroom-like because there's going to be a lot of information coming your way. I should have put a little disclaimer in the show notes to say, bring a paper and pen, and that way you could take notes if you wanted to. But, and I was planning on doing this really fun fast food segment. Unfortunately, the video is only playing sound and not the video, and you need to see it to understand it. So that will have to wait until next time. But without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the nuts and bolts of nutrition. Now, as a health and vitality coach, I get asked a lot of things, and we're going to actually go to the bowl later for those of you who watched this last time. But there are a few things that I see over and over and over and over again that just really kind of drive me bananas. And nutrition doesn't have to be that difficult. It doesn't have to be you are so strict about certain things. And I get really tired of, people putting people in boxes. So for example, I don't tend to eat meat. I don't even remember the last time I had meat, but if I want to have a piece of fish or if I wanted to have a hamburger, I'm going to do it. And that's why I never would call myself a vegetarian because one, I eat fish. Two, if I want a hamburger, I'm going to eat a hamburger. That's all there is to it. And then I don't have to deal with the whole, oh, you ate meat. So, we kind of put ourselves in this is how it has to look. And I think nutrition can be a lot more fun than that. Now, here's where the not maybe fun part is everybody's looking for the quick answer, the one size fits all. If I do this and this, then this and this will happen. If I do this, then this will change. But we don't give ourselves enough credit. And what I mean by that is how wonderfully intricate our bodies are and how powerful they are and how they're actually able to self-regulate. So if we don't get in the way of things, that is. So there isn't going to be a one size fits all. The one size that fits all statement that I give to everyone is that you're a bio individual and we've got to figure out what works best for you. Now, of course, there are some fast rules until they aren't fast anymore, but for now they are. The earth isn't flat, it's round. Is Pluto a planet these days? I don't know. I mean, it could be. I'm not sure what it's considered, but my point is that it's true until it isn't, and it's false until it isn't. So there are some hot button topics that I'd love to talk with you guys about today. Now, the first one is the infamous protein. Yes, I always get asked about protein, especially being vegetarian. Where do you get your protein? Well, I get my protein where your protein gets theirs. And it's a funny answer, but it's also a true answer because the thing is your body doesn't need protein. What your body needs is amino acids, and protein is broken down into amino acids. So it doesn't matter if you're getting it from an animal or from vegetables or from wherever. What you're looking for are amino acids. So the other thing too is, and I'm just going to go through the vegetarian part first because it's I know it really well and I get asked it the most. The thing is with being vegetarian is there's this thing about food combining. Like I mentioned before, your body is amazing. Do you not think that it has a capability of holding on to the parts of amino acids it needs and then getting the other parts later? I mean, look at how well it holds on to fat, right? So I'm sure your body can figure it out. We just don't give ourselves enough credit. So, it doesn't have to be that complicated as long as you're eating a diet, and I hate that word, but as long as you're eating food that is, different, all sorts of different types of foods and vegetables and fruits and things like that, you're going to get enough protein. Now, there's this whole thing about, you need more protein as an athlete. There's that great movie. I can't even remember what it's called right now, but there's a documentary out about these super athletes. And when I say athlete, I mean like somebody who runs 10 back-to-back marathons. I mean, athlete type. They don't eat meat and they are super duper strong. So you don't have to have that. Now, that being said, I'm not saying you have to give up your meat. I would never tell somebody to give up their meat if that's what they want to do is eat that. But what I am saying is if you're going to choose something, be careful what you get. Be careful what you're eating because you are what you eat and you are what you eat eats. Think about that for a second. You are eating whatever they ingested. So if they are grass-fed and they've had a good life, then the odds of the quality of meat are going to be a lot higher. So that is something that you want. I mean, think about it. You wouldn't put unleaded into a diesel engine. So why would you put crap food into your body if premium, if you need premium gas, then why would you use premium gas? That's probably better than diesel. But anyway, you get my point. The point is that it's better quality. And so you want to put the best quality that you can in your body. The other thing I want to mention is, we don't all have the same budget. So you do the best that you can. It's still going to be better to have organic meat than it would be to have, just regular meat. And it would still be better to have store-bought from Ralph's or Safeway, depending on where you are, or ShopRite, depending on where you are in the world, the United States, I should say, compared to McDonald's. McDonald's meat isn't even really meat. So I'm not calling it cat. I'm just saying it's more of a food-like substance. Anyway, so my point is eat the best quality you can and try and limit your meat consumption. It doesn't have to be, you could have it at, I don't care. Like you could have it at every single meal if that's what you so desire. Don't make it the main attraction. Make it the dessert of the meal. Make it the smallest part of the meal. There's a lot of studies out there that will tell you to be careful about how much animal meat that you eat. And, you do have to be careful with anything because even if it is, I actually heard that meat is considered a superfood. And if it's quality, then it could be. But what I was getting at before I interrupted myself was that too much of anything is not a good thing. So that's why you want to keep things relatively, in balance when it comes to your food. Whew, that was kind of long-winded. I was hoping it wouldn't be too preachy. But anyway, I have to mention real quick, I'm two-fisting it today. I've got my water and my coffee. Probably going to regret the coffee later, which is why it's still been sitting there and not finished after goodness hours. I still like it though. Anyway, that's my guilty pleasure and I'm going to have it. All right. So let's see what else let's talk about dairy, infamous dairy. To dairy or not to dairy? That is the question. Okay. Most people have a sensitivity to dairy. It's just, we're not intended to necessarily ingest as much animal product as we do. We're not tilling fields anymore. We don't need the same kind of sustenance that we did back then. We're sitting in front of our computers. So our diet should reflect our activity levels. Our diet should reflect, what we're up to. So I will, first of all, let me be completely transparent. I'm obsessed with cheese. I will always be obsessed with cheese, and I can't imagine ever giving it up. I really can't. And when I say cheese, I mean all types, including soy cheese. Right? So, what about milk, for example? It all comes down to quality. How was the cow treated? What was the cow eating? Is it coming in plastic? Is it coming in a glass bottle? Because plastic leaches. All of these things you want to take into consideration and make the best choices that you can for yourself within your budget and your means. and feel great about that. You should celebrate that because, you want to put, like I said, the best gasoline in the tank. So that is what is important. But, to mention too about milk, this one always cracks me up. We think that milk is so good for us. It does the body good, and bones and all that. That's the dairy industry that is promoting all of that. That is not coming from hard facts. If you look at, or I should say, objective facts, it's been paid for by the Dairy Association. But if you think about milk, and I just want to put something in your noggin, okay? And you can chew on this one for a minute. Why would you want to ingest something that is intended to make a baby animal grow it fat and big at an exponential rate? Sit with that one for a second. How healthy is that for you? Unless you're severely underweight, why would you really want to consider that being a staple in your diet? I'm just saying. I mean, it's up to you. And here's the thing too. I'd rather you have a glass of milk than have a soda. So, it's all relative. It doesn't have to be all or nothing, or it's just kind of like, what is a better choice for me? So dairy, like I said, I'm never giving up the cheese, but the better quality it is, the better it was made. I keep on bringing up the idea of how the animal was treated while they were alive. And for those of you who don't know, I grew up in an animal rights activist house. But that is only part of it. That is, it's only part of where that comes from for me. The other part of the idea of how the animal was treated is, like, think about it. I'll just be really graphic and kind of whatever. Let's think about cannibals, okay? If you were a cannibal and you were going to eat another human, do you think that you would want one that was vegging out on McDonald's and Taco Bell and KFC and donuts and soda constantly and candy? Do you think that would be tasty? Or do you think that a body that was well-fed, well taken care of, was respected, and they didn't feel a lot of fear, they just enjoyed their life? What do you think is going to be more tasty and better for you? So sometimes we just need a little push to make us see things a little bit differently. Now, that being said, I mentioned about how my stepmom, I didn't mention her, but it was my stepmom that's an animal rights activist. And so I know stuff that would make your hair curl. I have seen things that would disturb you. I'm not going to share that with you. And the reason why is because it's kind of like throwing something in people's faces that they're not ready to see or hear. And I'm not here to do that to you guys today. I'm just here to give you a few ideas for how maybe you could improve the way you eat on it, easily, quickly, just faster. So like I said, I'm not going to lecture you on any of that. In fact, my boyfriend's a huge meat eater, and, we get along great. I don't share with him the things that I know because I don't want to ruin it for him. Now, if I thought that there was something he needed to know, then I would share it with him. But he wants to eat meat. I'm not going to try and change him because that's what works for him. And I don't need him to be any different than who he is. And I don't need you to be any different than who you are. What I want for you, whoever you are that's watching, is to make the best choices for yourself, or at least have the opportunity to do so. Because if you don't know, then you can't make a different choice. So I'm not here to preach. I'm just here to share with you other pieces of information that might make you go, that was interesting. Maybe I'll try this. Maybe I'll try a meatless day. Maybe I'll splurge on this meat that, Julianne suggested. That's more expensive, and see if I can taste the difference. Maybe you could do like a blind taste test and make it fun. I don't know, just a couple of different ideas. And the other thing too is, do you like the taste of whatever it is you're eating, or do you like what goes on top of it? Now that's where the sugar comes in, and the salt and all the other yummy, yummy things that come up, right? So anyway, that's going to be in a little bit. But you know what? I've been yapping and yapping. So I think it's time for us to hit the wellness road and ask some questions. What's the best piece of nutrition advice you've ever received?
Hi, my name's Emily. The best piece of nutrition advice I've received would be to read the ingredient label on processed foods and to keep a journal of what you eat.
Hi, I'm Tim. The best piece of nutrition advice that I've received is that it's about nutrients, not counting calories.
Those were brilliant. Thank you guys. I so appreciate you spending your time before your or after your workout and sharing with us your thoughts and what you've received is great advice. And I have to admit, both of those things, or all three of those things, are really phenomenal. Now, I love the idea of reading your labels because you don't know what you're eating. And if you can't pronounce what it is, or your grandmother wouldn't know what it was, then you probably shouldn't be eating it because it has something in there that's not natural. Now, this is just something to strive for. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. So do your best. And then keeping a food journal is an amazing idea because then you can really see where you are. Like, you probably don't realize how many calories you're ingesting, and you might be surprised at how few you're actually ingesting. And if you're going to do a food journal, there's a couple things. One is I suggest you write down what time you're eating, and I suggest that you don't have to write this down, but think about why you're eating. So are you actually physically hungry, or did some bad news happen and now you need to eat because you want to fill yourself somehow? Just keep an eye on your reasoning behind why you're eating while you're doing it. Now, for somebody like me, I can't do a food journal with like the calories and the blah, blah, blah and all that because I'm way too neurotic when it comes to food, way too neurotic. But there's a workaround. There's a workaround that can serve you as well. If you're like me, or maybe you have some, an eating disorder that you are dealing with, or a disordered eating that you're dealing with, is taking pictures of your food. That way you can actually stop and pause. The reason why you even do a journal in the first place is to actually look at your food and actually see what you're ingesting. It's like when you don't eat in front of the TV, when you just sit there and eat your food, you actually get full faster and you are able to enjoy it because you're present with your food. That's one of the main reasons of doing a food journal. So you can be present to when you're actually eating and what you're actually eating. All right. And then the last one that I loved was Tim, and how he just said, everything he said was awesome. So I love the idea, because I'm always talking about the quality of food versus counting calories, which is basically what I just talked about just now with the journal, the food journal. For somebody like me, it's just not safe for me to be that precise with my food. So I have to be a lot more careful with it. So when I say careful with it, I mean careful with how I'm behaving towards food. And a lot of people are like that, even if they don't have an eating disorder or disordered eating habits. But the idea of eating nutritious food instead of counting calories is a phenomenal idea, because then you don't have to worry about how many calories you eat. Whoever OD'd on carrots. Actually, my brother did. He turned orange. He was little. The skin turned orange. Even the whites of his eyes turned orange. But that's not a normal thing. Anyway, let's get to our second question of the day. Hold on. Here we go. How do you fight cravings?
I fight cravings by consciously thinking about what I'm craving and how it might make me feel after I eat it. And usually that is enough to keep me from giving in.
Hi, I'm Jeff. The best way I fight cravings is drinking a little bit of water, because sometimes you're not really hungry or you want that craving. Drink the water, wait a few minutes, and then if you really want it, go for it.
All right, Emily, thank you again. Love that. I love that. It's all about being conscious, right? I just think it's a really good idea to just think it through. In addiction recovery, they call it playing the tape through. So before, it's the same idea. You just think about, okay, this sounds really great now, but we don't think about later when we feel sick to our stomach. But if you can think about that, a lot of times that'll stop you from eating those things that actually really aren't that good for you. I mean, I'm not even talking about the calories or the sugar or anything like that. I'm talking about how it actually physically makes you feel. So thank you for that piece of advice sharing with us. And then the other one I love too, Jeff, was that, okay, so the drinking water, yes, because most of us are dehydrated and we're not actually hungry, we're actually thirsty. So that was a great piece of advice. But I hope you guys caught it when he said, if you still want it, to go for it. And I totally agree with that. I really do. I would put a little bit more emphasis on the waiting a little bit part. But sometimes, if you just really want something, then you should go for it and enjoy it and don't have any guilt, and then get right back onto your eating plan, whatever that looks like. So I do like that advice. I don't like the idea of abstaining from things that you truly want. I do believe in crowding out those things that you say you don't want anymore, but you still have physical cravings for. So before we go to commercial break, I want to talk about cravings just a little bit. And what I want to say about cravings is that it's not always about willpower. We try and willpower our way through so many things. It's not all about willpower. A lot of it has to do with your biology. So you have like these little bugs living inside of your digestive tract. And when they start to get hungry and they start dying, they start craving and screaming for the foods that they want. Well, guess what they want? They want that sugar. Guess what? That's why you start craving things. So if you don't get your stomach right, if you don't correct your microbiome, it doesn't matter how much weight you lose. If you don't have that right, you will eventually go back to eating the way that you did, because your microbiome is out of balance. And that's why there's so much of this yo-yo weight stuff. It's not that it has anything to do with willpower. It's because there's this biological need. So that's an entirely different episode talking about gut health because it's a big topic, a huge topic, but there are so many different things that you can do for yourself. But drinking water, like he mentioned too, is a really good way to, help quelch those cravings. In addiction recovery, because as you guys know, that's kind of my background. There's times in your life where you're just going to have to be uncomfortable for a little while. And I think anybody who's done anything realizes that, but we get these weird ideas about food that we think it shouldn't be like that, or I should be able to do blah, blah, blah. I should be able to quit this. I should be able to. We have these weird ideas in our head and we get in our own way. Well, sometimes all it takes is just being uncomfortable for a little while until your body has a chance to recover and change. So not only is your microbiome changing, but your brain chemistry is changing. Your taste buds are literally changing. So what used to taste good won't taste good to you anymore if you can replace it with something else. So woo! All right. I definitely need a break because I need some more water. All right, you guys, let me see here. This is the joy of doing all of these really, really fun new segments and things. I've got all this stuff on my computer. I got to find the right stuff. So anyway, it is time for us to go to commercial break, and we will be right back after these messages. Are you someone who is struggling to move forward because you suffered a loss? Maybe you're even finding it difficult to complete the most basic tasks. Are you looking for a way to start enjoying life again without feeling guilty or the resistance to do so? Spiritual life coach Sarah Stockham saw a need for people who haven't learned how to grieve without putting their entire lives on pause. And so she created a program that solves this issue called Choosing Life Right Now. This program is simple and you can do it on your own. If you are ready to learn how to feel your grief while still being able to smile, to honor the sacredness of what took place as a loss, and yet still continue to live with joy, and if you'd like to take care of your whole being with grace and love, then I'd like to invite you to experience her new program called Choosing Life Right Now. Sarah is currently offering her program for the promotional price of $77, but it won't stay at this price for long. To learn more, check out her website. The address is on the screen.
Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversation. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
When drug or alcohol addiction take over, things begin to disappear. Your friends, your family, and eventually, you. Recommended by Dr. Phil, New Method Wellness can help get your life back with individualized treatment plans for dual diagnosis clients. New Method Wellness provides the most highly credentialed treatment in a safe and welcome environment. Call New Method Wellness for your free consultation and ask about our national accreditations. Together, we can put the pieces back together.
Welcome back, everyone. If you're just joining now, I'm Julianne, and we are talking about the nuts and bolts of nutrition. Whew. Okay, so we went over a bit about protein. We went over a bit about dairy. Now we use your words. Slow down. That's what happens when you have a little too much of the coffee. Anyway, so we talked about protein, but let's talk about carbs. All right, the infamous carbs. I really despise when people don't treat their food like food. Like, when did we start breaking things down into chemical pieces instead of vegetables and grains and things like that, you know, meats and dairy and all of that? Or even breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Now it's how many, oh, I'm off carbs. I'm not eating carbs. Well, I hate to break it to you, but if you're not eating carbs, then that means you're not eating any vegetables. So yeah, vegetables are carbs. So what I'm getting at is carbohydrates have such a bad rap. And I'm not saying that a French fry is the same thing as a piece of steamed broccoli. I am definitely not saying that. But anybody knows that there is a huge difference between those two things. And you don't need me to tell you. So let's think about this in a different way. Now, carbs are not the devil. They are not bad, but just like anything, you need to do everything in a balanced order. There can't be too much of something as opposed to something else. Now, you can't actually even have too many vegetables for your body. All of a sudden you have too much fiber and your body is in a lot of pain. Trust me, I've been there and it is not pleasant. So, you know, it can happen with anything. So I don't want you to think of carbs as necessarily bad. Now, I don't want you to think of food as bad. What I want you to I want you to differentiate though. I want you to, use your executive functioning and think about this. Which is going to be better for you? If you want, say, French fries, for example, what do you think is going to be better? I'm going to use McDonald's again. Actually, let's use In-N-Out. Go to In-N-Out for their French fries, or you could cut a potato and make it yourself. That's entirely possible. You could do that. That is going to be so much more healthy for you. And those carbs, oh my gosh, it's a potato now. Now, I know potatoes get a bad rap as well because they're a white food, but that is just, I don't even know where that came from. It bothers me. It bothers me so much. How is a potato considered bad food? Yet nobody really vilifies things like candy. Like recreational sugar. I mean, come on, people. Anyway, so I don't want you to think of foods as good and bad, but I do want you to differentiate between something that is a healthier option for you and that is a real food as opposed to a food-like substance or something that is completely processed. Now, I use this term food-like substance all of the time. If it is chicken and the ingredients on it have more than chicken in it, then it's been processed. There's something else going on in there. And your body still has to figure out what to do with all of those things. Okay. So, and this happens more with the carbs than it does with, say, meat, for example. It's hard to mess with meat because it's kind of what it is. But my point is that, when you are eating carbs, think about, filling your plate with more vegetables as opposed to more bread, because here's the difference too, is the grain is different here than it is in other parts of the world. So when I lived in Italy, for example, I could eat as much pasta as I wanted, all these, pizzas, as much as I wanted, and I lost weight. And the reason why is because it was a quality food and it was freshly made. It wasn't processed. It wasn't sitting on the shelf forever. And it also had no gluten in it. And I know that there's this whole, and I thought it was the biggest load of crap for the longest time that gluten's, I just figured, what are you talking about? But it turns out that we have mutant wheat in the United States. And so the way that it is made, and I say made because it's not actually really grown the same way as it used to be, that causes issues in our microbiome, in our stomach area. So I'm not saying that everybody needs to be gluten-free. I am saying that most people have a gluten sensitivity. So that's why you feel bloated after you eat certain things, because you have a sensitivity to it. I'm not saying you need to give it up, but I want you to be aware of it. It takes like 6 months for you to get the gluten out of your system. So, if you've got an event coming up and you want to look a certain way, then maybe lay off some certain things, or, whatever. It's all up to you. Like I said, I'm not coaching you right now. So I'm just giving you facts, man, just the facts. Anyway. So yeah, carbs, it goes back to quality. It always goes back to quality. If you're eating the box kind that's been sitting there of like spaghetti that's been sitting there forever, of course, it's not as good for you as something that is handmade that day, for example. So yeah, just something to think about. Carbs are not the devil. You can eat them, especially if you're going to be eating vegetables. You should realize those are carbs. Hate to break it to you, but they are carbs. All right. So we've talked about protein. We've talked about carbs. We've talked about dairy, and gluten, and treating our food as real food as opposed to parts like macro and micro and all of that. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't any value to any of that. What I am saying is, in order to get you going, you don't need to know all that right away. It's not that serious. If your food is taking up, say, 70% of your brain power, because you're constantly thinking about, what am I going to eat next? What am I going to eat? How much am I going to eat? Is this okay? Is this okay? Then food runs your life, and you will more than likely end up with an eating disorder. More than likely. Food should be your fuel, how often do you think about getting gas, for your car? when the little light comes on, or you go past a gas station that's got some super cheap gas or something. But other than that, you don't give it much thought. And that's the way that your food should be. It should be more automatic. As soon as you have systems in place in your brain, then it should become more automatic. So it's not something you're obsessing over all of the time. That's why I don't like when people, because I'm sorry, let me back that up. I don't like it for me because I know how easy it is to become obsessed with food, because I've been there and it was really unhealthy for a long time. And I don't want anyone who's trying to be healthy or get healthier end up with a problem that is harder to deal with than just eating a donut, you know? Like sometimes it's easier to just eat the donut. All right. So speaking of treats, never use food as a reward, okay? Never use it as a reward. It should never be like that. It should be something that, if you want to use it as a celebration, that is something that's a little different. Think about people's birthdays, New Year's, you clink glasses and drink champagne at, weddings, things like that, wedding cake, or even Halloween, then there's the whole idea of like cheat days and all that. I don't like that term either, because who are you cheating on? What are you cheating? Because you're human and you ate those, I don't know, you ate the bagel. Like, here's the thing. If you plan on eating something, so for example, it's bagel day on Tuesday at work, and you know that these bagels are fresh from the oven, or however they make them. I guess it's oven. Maybe I think they boil them actually. But anyway, they're freshly made, and you want to partake. And it's not even so much the bagel as much as the experience and the camaraderie of being with your coworkers and having that moment and bonding. By all means, fit that into your schedule, plan it, and don't feel guilty about it. Enjoy it. Seriously, you need to enjoy your food as much as you can. I mean, it is meant to be fuel, but it's more, like I said, it's more about the bonding with whoever you're with than it is about the actual bagel in this instance. So, if you're planning to eat it, that's a lot different than sneaking back into the, break room and grabbing 3 more and stuffing them in your cargo pants and 1 in each pocket, like slinking out of the, sorry, that one was for me, slinking out of the break room with your donuts and like maybe bagels and going into the bathroom and like eating one, or hiding them in your desk so you can have them later. I mean, that's not a normal behavior. So the time you have to start worrying about whether or not you have an issue is probably going to be right around the time when you notice yourself hiding food, you notice yourself having these secretive behaviors. Then there's something you might want to look at. So those are things that you want to keep in mind to, because it's a pendulum, and nobody's perfect. You're going to do the best you can. But like I said, I want you to have some new ideas, some different things, and just so that you can build upon what it is that you want for yourself. I mean, not everybody needs to lose weight. Some people want to gain muscle. Some people want to maintain. Some people just want to work on, being the best feeling in their own skin at all times. And ultimately, that's what I want for everyone. So anyway, that is that. So I feel like I've just been chattering on and on and on about nutrition, which is obviously one of my favorite topics, because I am also part of being a health and vitality coach is nutrition coaching. So I almost said counseling. I'm not a counselor. I am a coach. So let's see here. I think it is time for us to do some questions that you guys have been asking me. So it is time for Ask Julie Ann. All right, people. I've got the bowl. I've got the bowl of questions. Oh, look at me. I was already trying to cheat. Okay, hold on. Let's see what we got here. What do we got here? What do we got here? Oh, this is perfect for today. I love it. Okay. I'm confused about what to believe about nutrition and overall wellness. There's so much conflicting information out there. How do I know what's right? Dang, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a tough question because just because it's on the internet doesn't mean it's true. And then we all know that. And asking Dr. Google and all of these things, or, our well-intentioned friends telling us about how they lost weight. And yeah, that's great. And they probably have a different lifestyle than you do too. So those are all things to keep in mind. So how do you know what to believe? All right. Well, there's a few things that you should never believe. All right. There's a few, and that could knock out some of the stuff. So, first of all, there's no such thing as a fat burning food. All right. There are things that you can metabolize quickly and things that you can metabolize slowly. So there's nothing that's going to be burning fat. So you just get that out of your mind. All right. That is something that you should just not even concern yourself with. Anything making a health claim, be wary of it. Okay. When was the last time there was a high in fiber or low in cholesterol marking or whatever for an apple? Okay. So if there is heart healthy or all of these low in sugar, all these health claims, that's when you want to be suspicious, because anything that is sugar-free is going to compensate. This is for processed foods. So keep in mind, this is all for processed foods or foods that have more than 5 ingredients in them. If they're making a health claim, then, well, one, they could just be saying that. And then two, the other thing is that it's usually not true. So, or it's not anything spectacular. So it's not a reason to buy it, but that's, this is marketing. That's what marketing does. So it does work like that. So let me give you guys an example. And I actually was just talking about this one last night. Let's take Tylenol. All right. People love Tylenol, right? Well, Tylenol is a brand. The actual drug is acetaminophen. Okay. You can go and get generic acetaminophen, and it is the same exact ingredient as Tylenol. But Tylenol is the brand that everybody knows. So, okay, whatever. Maybe it's a psychological thing for you and Tylenol works better for you. By all means, please do go buy it. I mean, if that's what you need to do for yourself. But here's the thing. Go take a look. It'll say Tylenol, migraine, Tylenol, blah, blah, blah. And it's $4 or $5 more expensive for migraine, right? Flip it over. It is exactly the same ingredients. It's the regular Tylenol. Okay. All they did was whip on the word migraine. Now all of a sudden they're charging $4 or $5 more for the exact same pill. Exactly the same. You can even look at everything is the same. I've done this so many times. It is the same. So, pay attention to that kind of thing, because anything that is going to target a particular area like migraine or cholesterol or heart disease or whatever, that's something you need to be aware of. So if something's sugar-free, is it high in fat? If something is, sugar-free, does it have a bunch of chemical sugars in it to make it taste flavorful? Which I, sometimes like from time to time. I'm not going to lie, but does my body recognize what that is? Is it able to let it go? So those are some things that you really want to think about when you're trying to figure out what's true and what isn't. Just because something is endorsed by a celebrity doesn't mean that that's going to be the best thing for you. I mean, I'm so tired of hearing about Atkins this and Atkins that. I was like, didn't that die out in the 90s? But apparently it's making a comeback, and Atkins is not good for you. Does it work to lose weight? Absolutely. But anything that's going to put your body into ketosis, which is a state of body failure, is not healthy. I don't care who you are. That is not healthy. So don't even try and tell me that that's a great idea. If you have to make sure you're not dying today, please. So what I'm saying is any health claims, be wary. Celebrity endorsements doesn't mean much. The best things to do is it's as simple as eating as much real food as possible, the least amount processed food as possible. That's about it. Seriously. The rest of it, you figure out for you. That's when listening to your body comes into play. It is so important to listen to what your body is telling you. Like I love beets, for example, and beets are healthy, right? Well, beets don't love me. So no matter how many times I try them because I love the taste of them, it still makes my stomach upset. So you think I should stop eating beets maybe, right? Well, I have. Took me a few, like 15 tries, but it's funny. It's like, oh, this made my stomach upset yesterday. Let me try it again. Maybe it'll be different today. I know I'm not alone in that. So anyway, all right, let's get another question. This one looks good, I hope. Ooh, I was hoping to get this one today. All right. I've reached a weight loss plateau and I don't think I can cut any more calories. What can I do? That's a really good question. Say you're already down to 1,200 calories and all of a sudden you were losing weight, and then skirt. It is not that you need to cut more calories. In fact, you might need to add some back in. That could be part of the issue. Your body is stabilizing and readjusting. And sometimes it's as simple as checking on your level of stress. How are you handling your stress? That could cause a kink in your weight loss. How about sleeping? How's your sleeping going? It doesn't mean that you need to cut calories. Cutting calories is not always the best option to lose weight. And like I mentioned, sometimes you're eating too few calories and therefore you are going to hold on to that weight because your body's like, I don't know when I'm going to be fed again. So keep that in mind. All right, we're going to do another question. So wait, did I even really answer that one really well? That was the short version. There's a lot more to it. So if you want to learn more, let me know and I will be happy to share with you. Okay, let's see here. Okay. This one doesn't really have much to do with today, but it is a good question. Do affirmations really work? I always feel like I'm being fake when I do them. All right. So do affirmations really work? Yes and no. Here's how affirmations work. It helps to rewire your brain in a new neural pathway. Now, the way that they don't work necessarily is in the respect if you don't believe it. So like you really need to have the emotion behind the affirmation. So because your body knows, your brain knows when you're lying to it. So I don't say don't do them. But what I will say is that keep doing them because if that's what you want to do for yourself to, self-improvement. I don't like that because nobody necessarily needs to improve. You're perfect just as you are. But if you want your life to be different than what it is, you do need to retrain your brain some. And one of the best ways to do that is through affirmations. So yes, I do recommend doing them. That as well as a gratitude journal. So for me, I don't do affirmations personally. I also kind of felt like, this is not so real. But what I could really get behind and really appreciate was the gratitude journal. So every morning when I get up, I thank God for the unexpected miracles that are going to come my way. And then I write down 3 things in my gratitude journal. Hold on a second. Let me see. It's over here. Here it is. Gold friends. And if you look, I've been writing 3 things in here every single morning for quite a while now. And I try not to do the same 3 things every day. Well, what I'm getting at is I do different things. I'm sure I've repeated myself without realizing it, but it's amazing because it also retrains your brain to look at what you're grateful for and what is absolutely beautiful and amazing. Like the moon last night was phenomenal. I could have put that in there. Now, of course, that's what I'm thinking of. It's easy for me to think of all the wonderful things because that's how I start my day. So yes, I would actually recommend doing a gratitude journal as opposed to affirmations, but affirmations or maybe intentions would be a better way to do it because set your intention for the day. Even if it's how you're going to show up, like I will be at peace with whatever comes my way and respond in love. I mean, there's however you want to be and whoever you want to be that day. I think that is going to be more powerful because you don't feel like you're lying. So like for me, it never felt real to say something like I am a millionaire when I don't have $1 million in the bank. I just don't right now. That's a fluid fact, but you know what? It's going to happen. So, but the point is that what makes me feel like $1 million? Let's focus my energies and that on that. That way I get the feeling of it I know this is getting a little deep. So maybe I'll just stop there. But if you guys do want to learn more about that, obviously, let me know. Drop a comment, send me an email, all that fun stuff. I did have a few books that I wanted to suggest for everyone as far as reading materials. So let's do that before we head out, because these are good ones for you guys. All right, so let's do some book picks. All right. So boom, boom, boom. The China study. If you haven't read it yet, this is a good one. In case you haven't guessed, today we are going to be talking food books that can help change the way you view the way you eat and maybe what's good for you. So the reason why I really like the China study is that it's an oldie and a goodie, and it's one of those Bible type books when it comes to health and nutrition. So I definitely recommend it. It's, as it says here, the most comprehensive study of nutrition ever conducted, which I believe is still true up until today. But it's actually amazing, and it'll just give you a better idea of where to go and how to eat. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. It's a gem, and I'm saving the best one for last. But all right, I got another one for you. Fast Food Nation. Okay, if you don't like to read, there's also a documentary. You can watch this. I think it's on Netflix. I don't remember which streaming service, but this is a good read. This is an eye-opening read. It's disturbing. It is like I watched the documentary as well, and it's just wow. And it's all about, since most of us who are watching are in the United States, we are a fast food nation. And as I always say, we're a microwave society and we want things right now. But it is absolutely fascinating the way our food has changed because of marketing. So, and like our perception of time. But the last one before we go today, and this is the best one ever, is Michael Pollan, Food Rules. Read this. I make sure that every single one of my clients gets this book, including all of my friends. It's quick. It is easy. It is literally, okay, boom, here we go. Here's a tip right here. If it came from a plant, eat it. If it was made in a plant, don't. Bam. It is just easy peasy reading. Woo. Okay, I've been talking for an hour. All right, folks, it is about that time to say goodbye. I hope you enjoyed the show and learned some things. If you want to learn more, just reach out to me. I'm always around, available. Most of the time, I am going to Greece next week, which is pretty fabulous. So I might have some new content for you that's Greece related. Woo! Anyway, we do need to get going. And what are we going to be talking about on Thursday? I don't even know yet. But we do have a new segment coming up, and it's called Here's to Your Health with a special guest. So until then, everyone, enjoy the rest of your week.